Hi, everybody. Welcome back to In My Element, where aerialists are more than performers, they are people. We are pulling back the silk to discover their unique stories. And today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Lucas Suarez, a celebrated circus artist known for his passion, artistry, and remarkable technical skill. Lucas has performed around the world, including multi year contracts with celebrity cruises and a recent run with Cirque du Soleil. So, thank you so much, Lucas. I know you were traveling right now, but I appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Likewise. All right, so let's just dive right into our warm up questions. So, I read that you started circus around age 7. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you found specifically aerial and what made you continue with it over like a mainstream sport?
Well, I think the key in my first years, I started when I was 7. Um, it was having great coaches, that really passed on to me the passion that this means, like performing on stage and the discipline that this brings, and like, all the learning that uh, has. And yeah, thanks to them, I fell in love with this profession, basically. And over I actually tried, coming from Argentina, football with feet, the American football
Mhm.
is very popular, extremely popular. I tried it, but I was kind of shy, so I moved on to acrobatics, and I really found myself, from a really young age. It was like, this is gonna be my life, like all around it, forever.
Yeah. And how did you find your mentors?
Well, I was in a cultural center doing ceramics, like completely unrelated. And next to it, there was like an acrobatic school, just a couple classes, a little studio, a very humble studio. And I tried because I was jumping in the house, and my mom was like, "I'm sure you'll like this." And so I did. Like, immediately connected with Mauricio, who was my coach at that moment. I was 7, and I stayed with him a couple of years learning, and we used to do hand to hand acrobatic on the floor, and he included me for some shows eventually, and I started to get that experience from very young, and that was super useful for the future.
I also read that you, at age 16, sought out private classes across Buenos Aires and eventually Montreal, Canada. So, what pushed you to make that international leap, and were you supported by your family?
Getting better, you know. I'm gonna uh, say something, and I will probably repeat it. Like, what I try to tell to people is to fall in love with the progress, And when I was young, I naturally did it. So, I been to many studios, many classes, many coaches, and every time I felt like I reached the top, with like to absorb all the knowledge from them. So I always try to like reach these new people, these new institutions to give me more knowledge and just improve, because sometimes it's not enough. You stay in a place and you feel like you're not learning as you were the curve. I always try to make it really high. So that's what pushed me. And yeah, I had challenges along the way, but I always try to focus on the progress.
When you made that international move, did you move alone or did your family come with you? How did that all work out?
Yes, they really helped me, to be honest. Like, I'm lucky, because that's just luck. You cannot choose what family you're gonna be in, right? But I come from a middle class family that were able to support me financially, because it does take some money, especially in my the years that I've been learning. Because now it's, in my opinion, it's a little bit easier. There is more information. Internet has opened doors for many, perhaps less resourceful families or students, and but at that time, like, my family luckily was able to finance, for example, my trip to Montreal to get the teachers, classes, and the best teachers in the world. So yes, and also in Buenos Aires, I
Mhm.
everything was had a cost, so I was lucky.
Right, that is definitely a blessing.
Yeah,
And, I guess moving on from your international teachings, how did you get connected with celebrity cruises? And can you share a little bit more about how you became an aerial captain for them?
a little bit of luck. What's luck, right?
Right.
um, I got to celebrity cruises through a hashtag.
Wow.
Like posting, like it was like what, 8 years ago or 10 years ago, and I tagged whatever flexibility, in a video of straps, for example. I figured that out after I got to the contract, and the choreographer was like, "Yeah, we were looking for an aerialist that was flexible and has these capabilities, and we found you through the hashtags." And,
Wow.
yeah, it was, I put all my effort to not depend on luck, but thankfully it was there to perhaps make it sooner. Uh, but regardless, I worked a lot for that opportunity, and yeah, once I got there, I did 5 years with Celebrity, and I became area captain. Let's say in the third year, when I had the chance to open Apex, Celebrity Apex, and beyond after
Mhm.
Apex, and both ships had three brand new shows, so they were created with my cast. I enjoyed being a captain. I always wanted to be a leader, and leaders are built. You do have to have something inside, but you have to learn in the process. You cannot just be perfect, right? But it was it was a great, beautiful experience. I learned a lot as a person and professionally as well.
That is a great story. I mean, sometimes I feel like we get so caught up on, Instagram, the pros and the cons of it all and how bad it is, but sometimes it really does have some benefits. So thank you for sharing that. That is really great to hear that, people are
Mm,
acting that way and
yeah,
actually finding paid opportunities. So
yeah.
that's awesome. And out of curiosity, do you get motion sickness at all on the ships while performing?
In the beginning, only in the beginning, let's say the first week or two,
Mhm.
but then you get used to it. And if it's very rough, like I had the chance to experience when you go to New Zealand to Australia, that passage is very rocky, and it was challenging to perform, I can tell you.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Well, very impressive. And moving on to our grounding section right now,
Hmm.
you performed and also helped launch the shows, as you mentioned. What does it take to create a show from scratch in that environment? Is it completely you working on your own, just thinking about what you can put together, or do you work with a team? How does that all work?
Well, the good part of creating a show with the team, obviously, is that the role fits to you, and you don't have to fit into a role. The role
Mm-hmm.
is created upon you, so like it's where you get the most growth out of, uh, instead of a set show already. So that made me grow a lot. Also in Cirque du Soleil, I had the chance to create Echo, the show, and it was amazing. Learning from so many teachers, choreographers in Celebrity as well, and bringing their input and mine as well. So they create with my capabilities and my resources. So yeah, I was very grateful to have that chance.
Absolutely. And speaking of Cirque du Soleil, I actually went to see Echo this past
Uh,
August. It was
mhm.
amazing. I believe you were not on this leg of it, but I saw because I went down the rabbit hole on your Instagram and saw that you did the flying pole. And that was
Mhm.
one of my favorite sections in the show. I mean, it was so impressive. So, um, I just wanted to say thank you for sharing your art with us because it just absolutely took my breath away. So can you actually share a little bit about how you got selected for Cirque?
Yeah, that's also insisting. I would say. I wouldn't say. I was gonna say luck, but it's actually like insisting for what you want.
Mhm.
The way I got it was, I always apply like many people know, and I say it again just because the audience is always new. You need to have your profile in the Cirque du Soleil casting, where you upload all your conditioning, flexibility, your capabilities generally, and then you submit your act as well. And along the years, I submitted and I kept submitting new acts. But there was this moment where there was an audition for athletes. Athletes means for them like ex gymnasts or tumblers or more like general acrobats, which I'm not. I'm an aerialist and a hand balancer, like but I was like, well, I'm gonna apply anyway. I'm gonna send 2 minutes of acrobatics on the floor, what they wanted, and then like 8 minutes of my act.
Mhm.
And I knew it was not my casting, but I wanted to get there. I'm going to insist one way or the other. And they were like, Lucas, this is not for you. Like, thank you for submitting. However, do you do pole? And I was like, yes. So I always record all my trainings to have a better improvement and also for these opportunities. So I made a show reel and I sent them and they were like, we want you.
Wow.
Out of nowhere, like a very little chance out of flyer that was not for me. I still insisted on it and I got my opportunity because they sometimes they don't post, they're like closed castings.
Hmm.
So they're not going to post it in social media for whatever reason. But you need to be out there insisting and telling the world, like, hey, I'm here, ready for the opportunity anytime. And that's one of the things that I love to transmit to new students or people that have this dream.
Hmm. Thank you for sharing that. I also feel like a lot of the things that have gone really well in my career have been from those moments where you're like, I'm probably not qualified for that specific one, or maybe I don't fit exactly what they want, but you submit anyways. And then they say, actually, let's go in this direction. So I completely relate to that. And for anybody listening, hopefully that encourages you to just take the shot, go for it. You
Yeah,
never know what's going to happen.
I keep hearing, like fears, and I get it. Like it's scary. Life is scary, but we have one shot and we need to like take all the chances we have, even create our chances.
Absolutely. And I mean, thinking about Cirque and the fact that you're traveling now with another show, can you share a little bit about what is life actually like behind the scenes as a professional aerialist?
Well, I'm a guy that loves to be at home. I love my
Mhm.
country. I love my culture. I love my family and friends that are back home. I have obviously people around the world that I met that are very special to me, but the the high mass is at home because I'm from there, and I love to go back. There's many artists that love to keep traveling and not have a base, but personally, I love to go back home. And during the year, I probably work 9 months, 8 months, and I always come back home and reassess everything, like make my luggage and again
Mhm.
for a different season, winter, summer, whatever the next contract is. But yeah, you know, it's not a stable job. You miss your family, you miss your friends. You don't have stability for relationships,
Mhm.
and it's a lifestyle. It's hard to explain, but you get used to it and you adapt because it's unusual to most jobs.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely the trade-offs, but not a lot of people can do what you guys do. So we need more of you to continue that. It is just absolutely impressive. And, I guess on a practical level, as a touring and contract performer, do you ever receive things like retirement benefits or healthcare?
Yeah. In the big companies in Cirque du Soleil, also Cirque Dreams is owned by Cirque du Soleil, so the same rules apply. And yeah, we do have benefits. Um, 401 is one of the plans, for example, we can
Mhm.
apply for that. And yeah, we do have healthcare as well,
That's
but
great.
but not always. Sometimes I work in Europe as well, and it's just your salary. So
Mhm.
take care of it. They also
Absolutely.
demand you to have your own insurance,
Mhm.
uh, but it's your own. They don't provide. So everywhere in the world is different, and we adapt to the circumstances for them.
I know there are a lot of performers out there who, may not have the chance to work with a company as large as Cirque, and so they may not get those benefits or,
Hmm.
you know, what do you think that the entertainment industry as a whole can do to help support aerialists more, especially for the people who find themselves in those situations where they do it and they have to do it, but maybe they're not getting paid as much as they should?
Oof. Yeah, that's a long topic. Yeah, especially after pandemic, a lot of the salaries were cut. Uh, they used to pay per show. Some in some places they pay per day. It doesn't matter how many shows you do, for examples. And yeah, I mean, we have a risky profession, no? We risk our lives every day, so and there's not many of us. So I do believe that our profession needs to get paid really well. And as a community, I think we should value ourselves more. That's the only way we have, because people sometimes take um, jobs that are not well paid, and I understand. We have needs, but it's tricky. It's a tricky solution for sure. I don't have the proper answer, but I do feel that in most cases
Definitely.
we need to value ourselves much more.
Yeah, I think that is perfectly said, that nothing else needs to be said. Value yourself more, and do what you need to do for yourself, right? Like, I
Yeah,
hear a lot of people talking about the offers that they get and how it's really demeaning, and at the same
yeah,
time, if
true.
it's not working out, move on. And I know it's hard.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
Fortunately,
think
I have the
wisely.
time, the chance to say no.
Mhm,
But if you don't have the chance, at least ask for more. The
mhm.
no is gonna be always there, but maybe in many cases they're gonna say like, okay, let's negotiate. Let's give you a little bit more. We need
Right.
to give those fights for sure.
Mhm. Thank you for that. And how do you handle long-term career planning in such a physically demanding field?
Being diligent for sure.
Mhm.
I just had an injury in my back, and if I didn't take care of it, it was gonna stop my career. So we need to pay attention to that. In this case, injuries.
Mhm.
Uh, give them the attention they need, fix them in time, because then you're gonna regret later, and you have less years of your career. As we all know, it's a short one, and we need to take care of it. And also, I do focus on the transition of the next steps. For example, there's many things. You can be an agent with your contacts. You can be a choreographer, assist in production. There's many things, and doing that transition as well for the future softly is important as well, because there is going to be a day that if it's not an injury, you get tired and you are helpless. Um, but you do need to start embracing those tools to have a smoother transition. That's what I believe.
Definitely. You almost answered my next question, which was,
Mm,
what does sustainability look like for you as a professional aerialist? And I think you hit it on the head, taking care of yourself, setting yourself up for the future for
yeah,
those unfortunate events if when they happen, and just making sure that you are really set up for your future. So makes a lot of sense.
yeah, taking care of the injuries and all these things are key, because we have just one body.
Hmm. That's all we get. So, moving on to our inverted section, what's something about circus life or the performance world you wish people would maybe stop romanticizing or making it seem so over the top?
There's one word for this. It's excuses.
Hmm. Tell me more about that.
Where a lot often I hear people, making excuses or trying to get shortcuts into what they think they want, and you're not gonna get it, unfortunately. We need to grind. We need to pay the price. Unfortunately, suffer. Because it's not easy, and there is a lot of competition. We need to um, give up on parties, give up on some fun things that other people do. Because they have less demanding physically, for example, um, aspirations. So uh, yeah, just work, be
Mhm.
disciplined, embrace it, fall in love with the progress, like I said, and results are gonna come just by themselves without thinking about it. Just by passion, you're gonna get all your dreams. And we're more capable than what we think, you know. People don't often believe in themselves, and I really encourage everybody because I see the talent. And if you're not talented with discipline, you're gonna be better than the talented one because he's not disciplined enough, you know.
Hmm.
I know many examples, and I really encourage people to do that.
And, thinking about making those compromises or being disciplined or saying no to things that you wish you could do, but you can't because you have to take care of your body. How do you balance risk and artistry and also what the audience expects from you when you're putting together shows? Because I know when audiences are sitting in the audience watching you, I mean, I can only imagine you may be thinking like, how can we top that last performance? How can we make this better? But how do you
Absolutely.
balance that with the risk of it all?
Well, the risk, it needs to be worth it.
Hmm.
It needs to be solid. Speaking of the risk in this matter, you need to be very confident because if it's not ready for the stage, it's not ready. You need to keep training it. Right now, I'm doing the last trick of my handstands act. It's like 4 meters high, you know, on one
Hmm.
arm, and it's a cane that is very wobbly.
Hmm.
And I feel it's solid, but if sometimes I didn't sleep well, you know, I need to assess that risk and maybe cut the trick. We need to be very responsible because we're not joking here. We're not behind the screen. It's we're risking our lives, and so it's very important to be present and grounded, not have our egos put into the act because yes, we have maybe friends or a director or simply nobody just for your ego. Like I need to be always doing the same trick regardless nothing. And no, that's not how it works because we're human beings and stuff happens in our lives, and yeah, we just need to be grounded in that sense.
I couldn't have said it better. I think balancing the ego is truly
Mm.
the biggest thing because, I do not perform. I do aerial because I love it, but I can only imagine when you get to the level of performing or, choreographing a show, you just want to constantly be topping that last level. And
Hmm.
so I think that is truly the perfect response. It is all about ego, right? Like it's okay. If you
Yeah,
need to cut an act, you cut it because your safety is the most important thing.
yeah, and it's a long term thing. You know, you need to think ahead, not just like for tomorrow. If you don't get it tomorrow, you're gonna get it eventually. But less is more. That's a big important saying. You know, you do less, and it's gonna be more in the future. Just patience. The results are gonna come eventually if you keep working.
Absolutely. And I'm curious, what has been, if you don't mind sharing, the most humbling moment of your aerial career?
Hmm, I have to. I I applied for ENC. Do you know what the school is?
Oh, yes. Actually, I have heard of it. I don't know too much. So if you can share a little bit more for the audience, but I've heard of it.
ENC is the École Nationale de Cirque in Montreal, Canada. It's the best in the world. And I applied. That was my first international trip that my parents were able to help me with. It was in 2017, and yeah, I went there hoping to get the scholarship and to be the best, you know, because from a very young age, I was like, I need to be the best. You know, this was and still is a little bit my mentality, like really push as much as I can. And it was the best school, so like that's the only way, you know. That's what I thought in that time when I was younger. And I did the audition. It was 5 days. They were cutting every day more people, and I made it to the end. I was looking around and I was like, yeah, I got it. You know, like I feel good because like competition is, I feel confident from what I'm seeing. And I came back home really happy with it. what I presented. We needed to show everything, acrobatics, an act at the end, like dancing, all your skills, like artistically. And I didn't get it. I didn't get the email. I never got a response, and I was like, "Hey, I think you forgot about me." I mean, um, so I reached out, and then they said, "No, you didn't get it." Uh, so it was very humbling, because I was confident that I was, yeah, in a good place to get it. But yeah, frustrations, right? Frustrations shape you as well. You learn a lot if you're open to it. Like you said, humbling. It's a very important part of the process as well, because you cannot learn much from success all the time. Who's the best teacher? Failure. So uh, I embraced it with my hands and arms open and see what I had to learn from it. And I kept working. It hurt me a couple of years, but after that I kept growing. I was seeing colleagues learning as well in the school, and I was learning in the same level, kind of in celebrity, which was kind of my school, but working at the same time. So that was very humbling for sure.
Thank you for sharing that because even in, let's say, worlds outside of aerial, right? If someone's even just applying to college or trying to get a job, sometimes we can have that mentality of like, I got it, I got it, I got it. And then you don't get it. But like you said, we don't really learn a ton from having successes all the time. And failure is that best teacher. So, thinking about how failure is that best teacher, what was the main lesson that you learned out of all of that?
For sure, coming back up, for sure, because these things. I also for the clip, I broke both of my legs, and
Oh my goodness.
1 year after the other, and the doctor told me I couldn't walk. I was not gonna be able to walk again. The first doctor that saw me, and how do you come back after that? After hearing that, with with a good family, friends that support you, and just your own self. You're sometimes we're alone. We're
Mhm.
just ourselves. We will get into a room and you feel lonely, and you need to face those fears. Oh, is my career over? Well, maybe, but I'm gonna keep trying to get it back. After uh, these fractures or the ENC audition, it's just like come back up. You can take your time for grief, but at some point you need to come back up and just start from, I wouldn't say zero, but lower steps. What
Mhm.
matters is like 2 steps ahead, one back, 2 steps, one back, always coming back up.
For sure. Do you mind if I ask, did you break your legs doing aerial or was it something
He
else?
was he was in my gymnast phase.
In gymnast, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh man,
tumbling.
that is tough. Well, I am very happy to hear that you are recovered from that. I know that must have been a huge setback, but look at you now. So,
Hmm.
moving on to our cool down, for the next generation of aerialists out there, what is the main thing you wish you had known starting out that might help them?
I think it's taking care of, like I said before, the body. It's super fun to be at the gym and do tricks all day, but we also need to do, if you think it professionally, right? If it's just for fun, yeah, you can focus on the fun. But if it's professionally and you want to make a living out of it, you need to do the boring stuff as well. Um, at the same time, I think if it's possible, sticking to one discipline is it's very beneficial as well. Because when you spread too much apart, then you cannot push as hard as you want. But also, it's personally, depends on your goals. Because, like I said, like I wanted to be the best from young. So if I spread it too much, which I did at some point, I was doing many disciplines and gymnastics. Also, you need to discover yourself. But if you have the chance to feel what truly makes you happy, if it's aerial, silks, trapeze, whatever, stick to it and really put the time on it.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Hmm.
And My last two questions. What kind of impact do you hope to leave on the aerial world as a performer, creator, or mentor?
Just getting rid of the shortcuts. Just just grind, be at the gym. If you truly want it, yeah, spend the time, you know. I took like 2 hours in the transportation every day to go find the teachers in my city, two, 2 hours to go and then 2 hours to come back home. So, and that's what it's gonna like go far in life because you're gonna get the results, like I said. And yeah, just put the excuses aside and put the work into it. If you truly want it, you need to show it to the world.
Yes, well, it is definitely showing. And for our elemental takeaway of this episode, how important is mentorship in the aerial world as a whole, and how do you hope to contribute to that for others?
Well, it's very important because there's many self-taught people and it's incredible what we can achieve by ourselves, but we can for sure get faster with a good mentorship, uh, teaching you values, how to behave in this industry, what is respected, what is not respected. Um, it's very important to to learn the proper way, and we are gonna always we can learn by ourselves, but if someone face the same mistakes that you're going to face and you can get ahead of that, it's just like time consumption, right? It's very important to pay attention and to be humble as well, to receive those lessons from people that really are passionate about giving it to the others. I really enjoy helping others, and but it's when I find these people that are open and like, hey, Lucas, how do you do this? And I give the first advice, and if they pay attention, I really dive into it. But many times it's like they don't want to hear it. They just want
Mhm.
to have a shortcut, like a secret, And there's no secret, unfortunately. I wish there was. But yeah, I love to guide, and when you're open to receive it, I have no problem in giving it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing all of this on this episode. It has been such a pleasure to speak with you. And for anyone out there, how can they find you? And is there any way they can support you?
Yeah, I mean, they can reach out on my Instagram if anybody needs any help, any career consults. I can help anytime. So my handle is Lucas Suarez. Okay, all together, double S. And yeah, it was a pleasure to have this conversation with you.
Likewise. Thank you so much for your time and safe travels.
Thank you so much.